So we always, in addition to having this be the Reagan dinner, we essentially have it be about the Constitution too. And so if you'll look at the back of your program, you'll see the preamble of the Constitution of the United States. And I tell you, during this time that we're in right now, we better get back to this, or there's not going to be anything left. I mean, I hate to be a downer here. I'm not your happy, hopeful host. I'm just telling you that truthfully, we need to do something in this election, or you might as well write the Republic off. That's my opinion. Here we go. If anyone wants to join me, I'm going to read this. We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America. And if you notice also, we put some quotes on here from Ronald Reagan. And some of these are actually very powerful. If you notice right under that, it says, Reagan's quote, "You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness." And that's essentially where we are at this moment. We're supposed to have the West Virginia Hills next, which is more positive. And I'm going to not do it with the microphone. I'd like everyone, if you would. I think most of us know the chorus to the West Virginia Hills. Maybe you know more. I'd like you to join in. I see some people like, well, I see other people saying, sure, we know. Here, let's see. Oh, the West Virginia hills, how majestic and how grand, with their summits bathed in glory like our Prince Emmanuel's land. Is it any wonder then that my heart with rapture thrills, as I stand once more with loved ones on those West Virginia hills? Oh, the hills, beautiful hills, how I love those West Virginia hills. If for sea or land I roam, still I think of happy home and my friends among the West Virginia hills. Oh, the West Virginia hills, where my childhood hours were passed, where I often wandered lonely and the future tried to cast. Many are our visions bright, which the future ne'er fulfills, but how sunny were my daydreams on those West Virginia hills. Oh, the hills, beautiful hills, how I love those West Virginia hills. If for sea or land I roam, still I think of happy home and my friends among the West Virginia hills. Oh, the West Virginia hills, how unchanged they seem to stand, with their summits pointed skyward to the great Almighty's land. Many changes I can see, which my heart with sadness fills, but no changes can be noticed in those West Virginia hills. Oh, the hills, beautiful hills, how I love those West Virginia hills. If for sea or land I roam, still I'll think of happy home and my friends among the West Virginia hills. Oh, the West Virginia hills, I must bid you now adieu. In my home beyond the mountains, I shall never dream of you. In the evening time of life, if my Father only will, I shall stand behold the vision of the West Virginia hills. Oh, the hills, beautiful hills, how I love those West Virginia hills. If for sea or land I roam, still I'll think of happy home and my friends among the West Virginia hills. more pause.
Okay, back to the program. Sorry. I would like to introduce the executive committee and thank each one of them for the work that they've done to put this on tonight. Everyone has contributed, and it's really been an effort on all of our parts, so I appreciate every one of the Hardin County Republican Executive Committee members. My name is Sherry Hall. I am the chair. I represent the Capon District. We also have, if the other representatives would stand, we also have Colin Valentine representing the Capon District. Lost River District, we have Heather Mills and John Buckley. John is our secretary. The Moorfield District, we have Joe Dodd. Joe is our treasurer. The Old Fields District, we have Stephen Smith. Steve is our vice chair. And Brianna Malcolm. And then South Fork District, we have Rob Platt and Joyce Shooter. Every year at the dinner, we represent a Republican who has worked very hard on our behalf. And unfortunately, the Republican of the Year for this year was not able to make it. The only meeting that she's missed is this one. Go figure. But life happens, and so we would like to still represent Deborah Bluestein, and she will be presented with her plaque at our next meeting. So. John.
Another feature this year we wanted to introduce and have them stand for recognition some of our longtime Republican poll workers. Working the polls on election day, I did last fall, is a long, long day and a lot of work. And while there's a bit of compensation, it's an unsung job and deserves recognition. We invited a number of poll workers. We have one taker who's able to make it this year, works a precinct in Lost River District, and that's Scott Edgerton. Scott, would you stand up and just recognize you for your long service there?
Let me say that I'm the only one of the poll workers that showed up. They all have their reasons for it. But this is the election of the tipple. Most West Virginians know what a tipple is. If we let those Democrats tip us into the tipple incline, we'll never climb out of it. So think of your children, think of your grandchildren. Thank you.
And we need Republican poll workers because it's a job that the community does, so all the parties and people who are no party affiliate help work the polls, but there are always close calls and careful things, and it's good to be on top of our toes. And I'm sure we wish that across the nation, more states and more precincts have Republican poll workers on top of their toes, watching everything, make sure it's by the book. So if you're ever inclined to be a poll worker even once, it's a very valuable experience. So think about that for next year, because we're going to need a lot of them. Another person we wanted to have stand up just to be recognized, and that is the importance of having young people in our party, and have young people at our fair. So we're introducing Quincy Combs. Just stand up and be recognized. We're glad to have you here. Some of us get long in the tooth, but we have to have a rising generation, and we can't take anything for granted. So we're glad to have young people here.
Thanks, John. Okay, now we're gonna start. Sorry, Ken, a little bit later than what I said.
Okay, we're gonna start out with Kent Leopold. And if I'm mispronounced, please go ahead and correct me. Welcome.
Good evening. I'm Kent Leonhardt. I know most of you in the room, but it's certainly great to be back here in Hardee County. I'm currently your Commissioner of Agriculture, and I'm running for re-election. But I want to thank everybody who's out here today, because we couldn't get into these offices without your support. And it's very true that we have to have that community support to get anything done in the state of West Virginia. Now, I'm told I've got 3 minutes, and how do you put almost 21 years in the Marine Corps, starting a farm from scratch, a couple of years in the state Senate, and 2 terms as Commissioner of Agriculture into 3 minutes? It's impossible to do, but we're going to give it a quick shot. We're going to skip all the other stuff and talk about the Department of Agriculture. We're still running the Department of Agriculture fiscally responsive, a little more than $2,008. We've given everybody the 3 pay raises that the governor promised, even though we didn't get all the money for the pay raises, did we, Eric? That's not his fault. He tried hard, awfully hard. The other thing that we've done, though, is if you look at what's happening in agriculture in West Virginia, cattle numbers nationally are down 3%. West Virginia's up 5,000 head this last year. We've got more sheep, we've got more goats, we've got more hogs, we've got more chickens. Everything's on the rise. We've tripled the number of farmers markets since I've been in office. That's shortening that distance from where our food is grown to where it's consumed. It's safer, healthier, and has good health for the economy as well. And I'm very proud of the other records we've achieved. My peers of the Southern Association of State Departments of Agriculture, Florida, Alabama, Texas, Louisiana, big agricultural states elected me to be their president for a year, and I was able to host those commissioners here. I'm currently vice chair of the Southern U.S. Trade Association for Agricultural Trade. I just was asked by the president of the National Association of Departments of Ag to be the chair of the Rural Development Sustainability Committee, and I accepted that as well. And the reason I've got to leave it right after I speak is I've got to get back to the farm, and then tomorrow morning early I go to Pittsburgh because I've been invited to be a VIP. Anybody hear of the Epic Times? Yes. The Epic Times has invited me to be at the red carpet premiere of No Food, No Farm Will You Eat the Bugs. And then they've asked me to stay on afterwards as a panel member. How cool is that for a West Virginia Commissioner of Agriculture? So we're working very hard to put West Virginia on the map, improve the overall health of our citizens and the health of our forests. And one last plug for tourists, think about the New River Gorge National Park designation. Where would that be without the healthy forests? Who does that? Your Department of Agriculture. Who helps keep the waters clean? Your Department of Agriculture. Anybody golf down at the Greenbrier? Nobody? Or they have it at the Cape. At the Cape, you get bit by black flies? You're welcome.
Rick Rodriguez, welcome.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I can't tell my joke again. 3 minutes. Oh. So I'm going to go ahead and shoot for the stars. I am Rashida Yost, and I need to hide my stain. Yeah, I aged, so it took a while not to eat, just get in this dress and be patriotic tonight. So, and I am running for West Virginia governor, and a lot of you awesome people here know that I have 3 beautiful daughters and 1 awesome son who's 11. He thinks he's 27. So, and my husband's from Berkeley Springs. I won't scare you with the BSM. Everybody stop breathing. It's Berkeley Springs. I'm running because I care and because I would like our children and families to be safe, achieve, succeed, and great again. And to do that, we have a lot of work to do. We have nothing to show our investors, our future generation. Outside people, they come in here, they eat our breakfast, they eat our lunch, they eat our dinner. Oh, Sound familiar? Somebody we all know here used to say that. Yeah, see? And that's what's happening. We don't want that to happen. With the new sheriff in town, we're not going to let that happen. We're going to be better because I have 3 idols as your governor, and they are Sarah Huckabee, Ron DeSantis, and Greg Abbott. How's that? These are my 3 idols that I would like to lead West Virginia just like them. I would like to mandate the Pledge of Allegiance in the school. And I want to do just that for our children so that everybody remembers that this blessed country, this blessed nation is all we have and all we have left. And we have to preserve it. Now, I would like to make sure that our essential workers are going to be taken care of. All those, like over here, I have all the benefits and also the essential workers, the policies. I have 980 policies that I have written out over 3 years. Yeah, I didn't decide it last weekend to be governor. I wanted to do this, for a very long time. So I designed these policies. I lived with them. 300,000 families I have helped, local and overseas. 34 years, this is my 35th year working with children and families. As early childhood educator, teachers, and counselors, I've done them all. And also, I would like you to take a moment before you press that button to vote on May 14, 2024. Ask yourself 3 questions. What is this candidate going to do for myself, for my family, and also for my state, which I call home? And then vote. Trust yourself. Before I let you go, please, can I say one knock-knock joke, please? I've got to. Knock-knock. Will. Will you vote for me? There. Votes for governor 2024, everybody. Thank you. Hey, we got this.
Nate Kane, welcome.
So my name is Nate Kane. I'm running for the U.S. House of Representatives. So the question is why? Truth is, when I first started this out, I didn't really want to do this. It was something that I actually felt the Lord calling me to do. And so that is why I got started. But as I started going around the state, as I started talking to people, finding out about their needs, finding out about the things that were important to them, it started growing on me. I actually now am very excited about it. And knowing that I can do something even before I get into office. One of those things that we did, and that it was an issue that came up, and it was very important, was parents' rights. So I got together with my volunteers. We wrote a Parents' Bill of Rights. We went and we lobbied lobbied the state legislature with it. And we actually have a sponsor in the House. And we had 4 senators that want to sponsor it in the Senate. And so we'll pick one of those, but we already have now enough votes to get it passed in the House. But it deals with a lot of the issues that are extremely important right now to everybody, because there are things that were at the top of my head, but there are issues that were things that were being brought up everywhere I went. It was things like, what's going to happen to our kids? What are the schools teaching our kids? What about these books that have sexually explicit materials that are being distributed to them? What about the transgender issue? And the transgender boys and girls bathrooms and things like that. And so we deal with a lot of those issues in there, including health freedom and school choice and a lot of other issues. But it was something that was very fascinating to me to go through that experience, because it was really kind of the very first time I ever worked on any legislation, even before, before Election Day. I started with that because that's something, like I said, it's something that was on the hearts and the minds of the people. And that, right now, I think is the lead problem right now in politics, is that oftentimes politicians have all these great ideas, things they want to do, but they don't stop to listen to the people and ask what's going on in their lives and how they can help. So that is my focus. My focus is listening to the people, being actively present, engaging, and then following through with action. The last thing I want to say, and I know I don't have very much time left, but I just want to say this. I love Donald Trump. I obviously want to run and win, but at the end of the day, our country is facing right now a serious problem, and it is facing moral decay. If we don't get on our knees and pray and ask for God to get involved in making sure that the right people get into office and making sure that the right judges get into the judgeships and making sure that the right people in the executive branch are in there, we're going to face a continual, problem with our nation. And so I'm asking and begging for all of you to please consider fasting and praying right before the primary election, which will be on the National Day of Prayer. I think it's about a week ahead of that. So thank you.
Joseph Early.
All the way back here in the back. I'll come up here. I don't want you to wait about 30 minutes walking up. Do I need this mic? No. Okay, quick introduction. So I don't want to use up a lot of my 3 minutes introducing myself, but I think you need to know who I am and where I come from. I am a 20-year veteran United States Army. Okay, I wore the flag of wore the uniform under the flag of the United States of America, serving my country, our country, collectively overseas in Korea twice, Germany once, and in Kuwait, multiple stateside tours. So I've been around the globe more than once. Okay, I would tell you right now, everybody's saying, what about Russia? Russia this, Russia that. I've looked at Russian soldiers. I've looked at the Warsaw Pact. I stood in the Fulda Gap with the 11th Armored Cavalry Regiment. I'm a tanker, spent 20 years on M1 tanks. So you ask yourself, well, Joe, why are you running for Congress? I'm a warrior. I'm not going to stand up here and sugarcoat anything and tell you I fear now for my country more than I have ever feared for my country, even when I was on active duty. So why am I running for Congress? Because right now we need people in Congress with a backbone. We do not need establishment, career politicians in Congress. We need people who will fight and fight hard for constitutional rights, economic freedom, pro-growth economics, American energy, protecting our children. And one thing when I talk about protecting our children, that's one of the reasons I'm running. I have grandchildren, I have children. And that's where the fear comes from, because like it's printed on the back of the program about we're one generation away. We are now in that generation. Right now, as we stand right here, we are there. If we do not win, as Republicans collectively, if we do not win in 24, whether it's because we're battling a machine, the Democratic machine who's hell-bent on fraud and deception, okay? If we don't beat that, we're going to lose our country. I do not. I have seen the violence in the military. I don't think we want to see that level of violence out here. It will not be north and south, and that's the dark part of this that nobody really talks about, but we need this election, and we need this election very badly, okay? I am a principled person. I will never, ever betray your trust of any constituent. I will never betray your trust. I am a godly man. I will operate on godly and moral principles. Okay, and I will stand my ground. I'm not somebody that's going to get pushed around, puppet on a string, establishment politician. That's not what you get with Joe. If you want that, you can vote for somebody else. But if you're going to vote and support me, you're going to get a guy who's going to stand up here for your rights in West Virginia's 2nd District in these 27 counties. So last thing I want to say, I know you've heard a lot about this parental rights. The reason we have a problem here, and I'm running out of time, I'm going to make this real quick, the rot that we have in this country, the root problem, and I'm a root cause guy. I'm a cybersecurity engineer by trade now, okay? My second 2 decades of service to my country, is the rot is from communism. We have communism that's permeated our entire society, from local elections all the way to the halls of Congress, even to the presidency right now. We have a failed presidency, we have a failed administration, we have a scourge, an invasion at the border. 4,000 more military-aged males have come across that border. That's why I fear for this coming election. We're in an asymmetric war right now, and every point of our culture is being attacked.
Thank you, Joe.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Very much.
Riley Moore, welcome.
Sure.
neglected to honor Riley. He also sponsored the table, so he does get his 5 minutes, but I just wanted to make sure that we acknowledge Riley. Thank you.
Okay, all right, well, thanks a lot. How are y'all doing? It's so great to be in Hardee County. I don't know if I've been able to thank all of you at one time for the election in 2020. I've got almost 70% of the vote as your state treasurer now in Hardee County. Thank you so very much for that support in the 2020 election. I actually defeated a 24-year incumbent to become the first Republican state treasurer in 92 years in the state of West Virginia. Thank you very much. And now I'm running for the 2nd Congressional District. I'm running because I'm the proven conservative. And I want to highlight some people here and some organizations that believe I'm the proven conservative. I am the only person in this race who is endorsed by the West Virginians for Life. I have a 100% pro-life record. I'm the only one in this race endorsed by the West Virginia Coal Association. I'm the only one endorsed by the West Virginia Family Policy Council that's standing up against some of these issues we heard others talking about in terms of family and the transgender issues that are going on. And I've also been endorsed by the Americans for Prosperity because of my work in the legislature and as state treasurer to enhance economic opportunity and freedom in the state of West Virginia. I am the proven conservative in this race. As your state treasurer, I was the first elected official in the entire United States to divest from BlackRock our tax dollars because of their woke corporate policies and ideology. Thank you. We pulled $1.5 billion from them. And I started a state coalition around the country, 15 states. And we have had nearly all 15 now pull money from BlackRock. It's a huge success. We went on then to the legislature, took that idea and said, you know what, we got a problem with the banks. I talked to coal operators, gas companies. They were losing access to capital, so they couldn't continue to mine coal, to be able to build pipelines. So we created what's called the Restricted Financial Institution List here in West Virginia. So if you boycott the fossil fuel industry now in West Virginia, you are ineligible for a contract for financial services with our tax dollars in the state of West Virginia now. We canceled many, many contracts in West Virginia. JP Morgan Chase, Morgan Stanley, Wells Fargo, BlackRock, and Goldman Sachs. We canned them. Millions of dollars we've taken away from them and given them to West Virginia banks and other banks that are not trying to destroy our industries here in the state of West Virginia. That is what proven conservatism looks like, folks. And look, it is a mess there in Washington, D.C. And we need people that have been in these battles, who know how to win. I've had one of the top 10 most conservative voting records in the West Virginia State Legislature. This is why West Virginians for Life and these other organizations have gotten behind me. Your 2 state senators here, Jay Taylor and old Randy Smith back here, have endorsed me. So is your delegate here, Mr. Ward. So what I am telling you folks, you gotta have fighters out here. You have to. And if I am elected to Congress, one of the things I want to see, people that are saying that this abortion issue is over and it's a states' rights issue, no, I don't think so. There has to be a federal ban on abortion. Because, thank you. A child's life in West Virginia matters just as much as a child's life in California. And they got an abortion factory going on over there, and it's a genocide, and we have to stop this. We have to stop this. The 3 countries in the world that have the most relaxed laws on abortion is the United States, China, and North Korea. Is that a list we want to be on? We have to ban abortion on the federal level. 2, and I came out in big support of this, and thank God it passed the West Virginia State Legislature, but I want a federal ban on surgeries for transgender surgeries for minors. We have to stop this in this country. It must be illegal, and anybody who does that, I want them to go to jail. This has got to end. It is child abuse. We have to stop this nonsense, and it's seeping into every school system in America. Thirdly, on the economic front, folks, we've been sending our jobs to China for way too long. It's time to bring the jobs back home, cut ties with countries that do not have our best interests at heart, and make America great again. Look, I was one of the first elected officials in this state to endorse Donald Trump. I'm standing with him in this election. I was actually in Mar-a-Lago. They invited me down for his announcement, and I am proud to be with him. So I'm asking you to vote more in 24. Thank you.
Randy Smith.
Your 3 minutes will start right there.
All right, thank you for giving me a chance to talk. I don't have time to tell stories about my wife tonight, so it'll probably be good for her. But I will say that somebody that wasn't here, we met in the FFA on a field trip castrating sheep and docking sheep. So that was pretty romantic, and I'm pretty proud of that. So, but we've been married for 45 years, have 2 children, 9 grandchildren, and 2 grandson-in-laws. But I've been blessed. Most of you know me. I've been your senator for 7 years. Nothing's going to change if I'm re-elected to serve the 14th district again. I'm still fight the good battle. I'm a conservative, God-fearing man because God's in charge. Because I sure don't know what I'm doing most of the time. So if I wouldn't have God on my side, I'd be in a lot of trouble. Well, him and my wife, she tells me. But, it's good to see so many Republicans on the ballot. I can remember a time when you go to vote and you didn't have anybody to vote for. Yeah. And times has changed, and it's because the world went crazy and they finally figured out that Republicans are on the right side. So, the candidates that we have for Congress and them, auditors, the whole state governor, it's so many times we have to vote for the lesser of the 2 evils or 3 evils or whatever. And I believe in this election we've got a lot of good candidates, and West Virginia's going to win no matter what. So, I'm good friends with all of them, I wish them all luck. Wish myself luck, but there's worse things than losing an election, right? But I've been very proud to represent Hardy County. I still hate windmills. I can guarantee that nobody in the West Virginia legislature has fought windmills longer than I have, because I've been doing 11 years and getting ready to start my 12th year fighting windmills. So, and it's not because. It's because I don't like windmills. But, I appreciate your continued support. I try to be very accessible in Hardy County a good bit. And I have 8 counties, so it's hard for, to be in all my counties the way I want to. But I just retired from the coal mines in July 1st after 44 years. And I feel like a free man. But so I have more time to get around my district, and I appreciate the committee here. They always put on a good function, and I love you all. God bless you, and God bless West Virginia. Thank you.
Caleb Hannah.
Rob, you got this? You got my time, bud? Okay, you have to cherry tackle me here if I go over. All right, so I'm Caleb Mann. I'm running for state auditor. I'm from Nicholas County. I've served 5 years in the House, and there always comes a time where you got to move up or move out. But to tell you why I'm running for auditor, I want to tell you a little bit about how I got involved in politics to start with. So way back in the 3rd grade, I saw this charismatic black man running for president. And I thought, man, if he can do it, I can do it. And then it didn't take too long for me to figure out I don't have that much in common with Barack Obama. So my dad's a coal miner, and he lost his job in 2013 due to some of Obama's were supposed to be pro-energy policies. But I'll never forget in 2010, my dad told me that the American dream was getting harder to find. That opportunity was tougher to come by, and that simple idea of by working hard and doing the right thing you could provide for your family, it just wasn't that simple anymore. And that's when something clicked with me that I wanted to do something to help the people in my community and then help the people in my state. So I started following politics, always hated my state representative. He had been there for 6 years, he's a Democrat, and I said, if he's still there by the time I'm able to run for this office, which is 18 in West Virginia, I'm going to give it a shot. So in 2018, at 18 years old, we ran for House of Delegates and we won, becoming the youngest elected official in the country in 2019 and 2020 and the youngest African American ever elected to a state office in U.S. history. Thank you. And I think that's a pretty big deal. If I was a Democrat, I'd be on CNN and MSNBC every night. But since I'm a Republican, no one wants to cover me. But that's all right. We'll get by. So we've had an awesome 5 years in the legislature. I can't begin to hit on every topic of bills that I've supported in the past, but I'll tell you, one bill that I lead sponsored, introduced, I'm super proud of is the Save Women's Sports Act. And it says that if you're a biological boy, you play in boy sports. If you're a biological girl, you play in girl sports. That's the way it's intended. I was super happy to get that introduced and get it across the finish line. What we're doing to kids, and Riley hit on it earlier, what we're doing to kids today is ridiculous. We got to stop this stuff. Even what we're teaching them in schools. We got to start teaching our kids how to read instead of teaching them how to go to hell. I think it's absolutely terrible what we let our kids read in schools these days. We need more politicians, not just in West Virginia, but across the country, who share our values, who defend our rights, who speak truth to power and are never, ever afraid to say, "In God we trust." And I'll tell you, that's one of the first things we're going to do when we get to the auditor's office. And a lot of people tell me that this is a really minute thing, that it's not a big deal, and I think it's huge. At the top of every single state purchasing contract this state sets out, it's going to say, "In God we trust" at the top. Because I want every single person in this country, and every person in this world to know who they're doing business with when they do business with the people of West Virginia, and that's God-fearing people. But I'm tired, and Riley hit on this too, and Riley hit the nail on the head when he started talking about this ESG and this woke environmental stuff. We give way too much money to companies and people who hate us. If you want to come to our state and you want to attack our faith, you want to attack our people or our Constitution, you're going to have to do it without our money. Because when I'm auditor, I'm not signing off on that stuff. So I'll keep it short. What am I even at? We got 123 left. I'm doing good. So I'll keep it short. I'm going to be under the clock. I'm Caleb Hanna. I'm not going to give you a knock-knock joke, but I'm Caleb Hanna, and I'm running for West Virginia State Auditor, and I would really appreciate your guys' vote next May. Thank you so much.
Gary Householder.
Hey, good evening, friends. I'm Eric Householder, and I'm running for state auditor. So, conservatives in Berkeley County sent me to Charleston 7 times to help fix this state and to cut your taxes. So, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my accomplishments. I'm a conservative fighter in West Virginia. I work to reduce $1 billion in state spending. That's right, $1 billion. I worked hard to deliver the largest tax cut in West Virginia's history to get that money back into your pockets, okay? I'm pro-business. I led the charge to repeal prevailing wage, to make West Virginia a right-to-work state, and to pass many tort reforms bills. We are making West Virginia a business-friendly state, and we're moving on. I'm all about school choice. I pushed the Hope Scholarship Bill so that parents and students could make the best choice for their families. I'm pro-life. Back when I served on the Health Committee, I defended the biggest pro-life bill in West Virginia's history at the time, the 20-week pain-capable bill that saved hundreds of babies from being aborted every year. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm also pro-Second Amendment. I have sponsored and co-sponsored every NRA bill in the West Virginia House, leading me to receive the highest award given by the NRA, the Defender of Freedom Award. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm your House Majority Leader. I was the House Finance Chairman for 4 years. The members in the House call me Chairman of Freedom. You know why? Because it's what we expect in West Virginia. Freedom gives ordinary people like you and me the ability to raise a family, to work at a good job, and to pursue happiness any way we want to. We want less of what's going on in DC, right? Yeah, we want less of what's going on in Charleston, right? And we want more about like places like Matthias or Moorfield or Law City. You know, ladies and gentlemen, elections are about choices, and the choice is clear. I'm running on a record of results. I have a wealth of experience in financial management and accounting. There is nobody stronger, more proven, or more committed to protecting the taxpayer than me. Now, when you send me to Charleston as your auditor, I'm going to make sure that every dollar that is spent goes to exactly what the legislature and the voters approved. And when we catch those who are stealing from the taxpayers, we're going to set a record. We're going to set a record of sending corrupt government officials to jail, and we're going to get our money back, period. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Eric Householder. I'm running for state auditor. I'm a conservative. I would appreciate your vote. We have a job to do.
Well, I do have a joke for you. What's the difference between a dead skunk in the road and a dead politician in the road? The skunk has skid marks in front of it. Thank God you know that's right. But anyway, so I'm Stephen Sheetram. I'm county commissioner, one of the county commissioners. Appreciate my fellow county commissioner, Jay Fansler, also here back in the back. County commissioner in Hardy County. What I want to say, I'm also running for state treasurer, so I gotta walk a fine line tonight. But I first want to tell you about some of the things we've done in Hardy County while serving as county commissioner. We worked with state officials to bring Papier Mettler into the county. That company will invest $48 million and create up to 100 new jobs in this county. That's a huge win, and they filled an empty industrial facility. That's a huge win for Hardy County. Secondly, we just broke ground on a company in Wardensville, Christopher Peacock, who is going to invest $5 million and will create up to 40 new jobs in the area. Those are huge wins for Hardy County. Hardy County is a great county. In fact, I will put Hardy County up against any county. In fact, we did that most recently. Our county commission from the County Commissioners Association of West Virginia won Best County for 2023. Why? Because we worked very hard. We worked very hard. Sometimes the hard work is a fight, and that's what I want to get to now. Sometimes the hard work is a fight. For instance, there have been huge, and there continues to be, huge amounts of money coming from the federal level that affects people at the local level. When you heard Randy Smith talk about windmills, those are 608-foot windmills that have been proposed within 244 feet of property lines on Short Mountain in Baker. We fought against that as a county commission, as a county. We worked with other counties throughout the state to fight against that because sometimes there are huge piles of money being put out at the local level that create situations and problems for people at local levels. And that's an issue you would only know if you come from a county commission perspective, which I do think is important. And I want to say this about the run for state treasurer. We are, as has been stated already, in an existential fight right now for the future of our country. There's no question about that. And what is going to be important, I've heard people come up, even people who are in this race, and say about the treasurer that, well, you need to spend less than what you make. Well, of course, we do all know that. But if we don't elect a fighter, if we don't elect someone who recognizes policies like keeping interest rates artificially low for a decade and a half, pumping huge amounts of money into the system, creating a situation where a capital power is created so that corporations begin purchasing single-family homes, and then single families can't afford them. That's the situation we have in our country. You ever notice everywhere you go there's a housing shortage? That's because before 2010, there was hardly any institutional money in single-family homes. Now, institutional money makes up like 20% of the purchase of single-family homes. That's why families can't afford housing. That's what's going on in this country. And if we do not have a state treasurer who recognizes policies like ESG, environmental, social, and governmental factors that hurt West Virginia companies and West Virginia people, and work with treasurers, just like Riley Moore has just stated, throughout the country on that issue, we will be lost. We need to elect a fighter in this race for West Virginia treasurer. It's a very serious thing. I think it is important also. I'm coming from a county commissioner point of view to state treasurer. That's a little bit of a leap, some would say. And the question would be, are you ready for it? The question for anyone would be, have you fought already? Have you been battle tested? I can tell you that I have been. I can tell you that no matter what, I will fight for the people of this county, and I will fight for the people of the state of West Virginia so that our values, our way of life, and our future is protected. Because that is the duty that is incumbent upon anyone who would serve in office. And that's what I promise you I would do every single day. Really appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Thank you for everyone who came out. Thank you.
John, Treadway.
I'll go ahead and get started. I'm used to standing up with a little bit smaller group, 12 or 6 people, depending on what Mr. Knows or Manchester Knows lets me talk to. So if you talk to him, don't believe anything he says that I might have said in front of a jury or might have done. No. I'm going to run for circuit judge in what will be called the 26th Judicial Circuit. That's Hardy, Hampshire, and Pendleton County. There was a little bit of reorganization in the legislature. This was the year it could be done, and we didn't switch counties, we just got our numbers switched, that's all. Okay, but I'll be running for Division 2. That's currently the seat that Judge Williams holds. I'm running, really basically, I have a passion for law, and I have a passion for justice. And everyone in this room, I guarantee you, has a little bit different view of what justice is. But I think one thing we all probably agree on, it's fairness. That means both sides, or however many sides, there could be more than 2, get their day in court, get their say in court under the rules. And that's how we have justice. You know, Mr. Smith read us that part of the Constitution about establishing justice. And I think it was established in this country, but I think of late it has gone downhill. And I promise everyone will get justice. That doesn't mean everyone likes the result that comes in if I'm elected judge, but they will feel like they're treated fairly, because they will be treated fairly. The other thing is, I'm not an activist. I will not be an activist judge. I simply believe in the Constitution. I believe in the separation of powers. We have a legislature that votes on laws, and we have an executive branch that makes it law, or it gets overridden and made law. And then you have the justice system, which is supposed to uphold and interpret that law, not make new laws. So it doesn't matter what my personal feeling about a law is. It's going to matter what that law is, what the interpretations are and have been through our case law, and it'll be a practical application of the law to the facts at hand. That is what I promise everyone that comes before the court. if I am sitting as your judge. And I want to thank you all for coming. I've heard a lot of great stuff. I can't talk about politics as it's a nonpartisan, but I do like that I'm in a friendly room. And there's been a lot of great ideas talked about up here today. And again, thank you. I didn't run over
I want to recognize two ladies here tonight. Tricia Jackson, she is running for state auditor and couldn't be here, but Isabella Simon and Denise Jackson, thank you ladies for coming and representing us. Jay Taylor, do you want to say anything?
Sure, why not? I got to take them ready. Well, hello, everybody. I'm Jay Taylor, your state senator. Thank you all for being here. And hey, 22, we had a nice Republican wave. 24, we need a conservative wave. So we really got that. I thank you all for sending me down there for the state senate. We had a tremendous session down there this past year. Thrilled to be part of the largest tax cut in West Virginia history. A couple of the drug bills that we passed there, getting that Delta 8 and Delta 10 and Kratom on the controlled list, I really think it's going to make a big difference for. I really think that's going to make a big difference for everything because that stuff you get to our children. That these vape shops will really abuse them and all that. So I was really proud that we got that through. Some of the stuff I talked about last year during the campaign, the school building authority reform that I've been working on, got that in process. I do have a bill for that. And then another one that's come up, we just talked about in the interims there, the truancy stuff. We actually had a meeting about that in interims here this past time. You heard the report come out. If you listen to some of the news here this week, just the bad rates of truancy going on in West Virginia. So we've got some bill, we've got a bill in the works for that to help out with that, give a little bit more teeth to our courts. In the 90s, that kind of got taken away, and it was well intended, but it's kind of gotten away from it. So we're hoping to really get that in there to make sure our kids are staying in school. It's been really neat. Randy and I got to tour the Mount Storm power plant yesterday. That was really neat to see everything there. So we're getting around, seeing everything, doing all that, and we're getting bills ready for next session. That's been the neat part of being down there in the Senate. Because once I first got down there, boy, that was a fire hydrant coming at you with everything there. But now with the rooms, we're getting stuff prepped for next session, and so I'm excited about that. And I thank you all for sending me down there, and I'd like to thank Sherry. She has been doing an excellent job. This of the district. You can tell. Some people will tell me I used to be chairman in Taylor County. Pass it off to our vice chair now, but to Fred there. But let me tell you, I'd always get told, oh, hey, you do a great job. Da, 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 da. Well, I can see now the difference that makes. With the multiple counties. And Sherry, you are doing an excellent job. So appreciate your time, and remember, vote conservative in 24.
I'll take 30 seconds, set the timer. I know most everybody in the room. I've served in 28 years in law enforcement. That was my only expertise for my career prior to the legislature. Public speaking, I've never been great at. Throughout that 28 years, I got real good at saying, "Get on the ground, show me your hands." But that is of little value at the legislature. So, the only thing I'm going to say is when I first went down there 3 years ago, I've since sought a second term. I'll be on the ballot again for a third term. I remember when I was introduced to the number of different caucuses within the Republican caucus. One was the Faith First caucus. I wish that it was bigger, but I can recall the literature that we were given at the beginning, and it was an excerpt from Mike Pence, and it said, I am Christian first, conservative second, Republican third. And I think if that's put things into perspective, I know that there's a lot of folks that they can call themselves anything from libertarian to Nazis or anything else in between. There are some things that don't have a godly answer. We go into prayer, we fellowship and try to find the answers. So much of the policy that we do make down there has to do with where spending should be applied. And it's hard to find that in the Bible, but we do our very best to look and for me on a spending measure, I always try to envision, if I'm going to spend be a yes vote on a spending measure, I always try to envision me reaching into my neighbor's pocket to give to my other neighbor, because it's essentially what we do. There were a lot of ups and downs in the last 3 years. Some of the toughest fights that we had fought were on abortion issues, and West Virginia's been a leader in stopping the murder of helpless babies. Recognizing them that they are people, they're little people, and that was the one time that I got choked up because they actually cleared the galleries. I know they did it in the Senate when they were here in the same bill. I thought I'd seen evil in 28 years. It was nothing like watching a bunch of people so excited about killing babies, and I cried that night. I'll leave it at that. I appreciate your support, and thank you.
Go first now. Jim's not going to say that?
Come on, Judge.
Do I get 6 minutes? I'm joking. I don't mean that. I didn't come here in a dirty shirt. What happened was the preacher over here just headed out the door. Was taking up plates and he dumped it on me. So please don't think I came here looking like this. I didn't. But as I told Sharon, there's things here in life worth getting mad over. That ain't one of them. We got a lot of other things going on. But as you know, I've been manager for 31 years. Next year will be my 32nd. That's 8 terms that I've won. 6 of those terms, it was partisan. Okay? It's nonpartisan now, but it was partisan. I was a Republican in '92 as a 22-year-old and was able to win. And I've held that seat ever since. I talked to Mike Tietz on the phone tonight. I didn't know if he was coming. He's in Florida. And Mike said, I'm not going to be there, but we talked about some of the times we had. It wasn't so easy. It was 3.2 to 1 Democrat in Hardin County back then. 4,200 Democrats to 1,300 Republicans. You know what I am. As John says, it's nonpartisan, but I've never hidden what I am. I was on your ballot 6 times as a Republican. My mom thought I was nuts when I filed at age 22 as a Republican. She said, Craigie, call me Craigie. She said, you're going to get killed. My dad was military. Joe Early, you know what I mean by that. He was one of those people, he wasn't a DI, he was a field artillery, but I felt like he was a DI because every day in 1992, he was in my ear. As long as you go see people, as long as you give them a reason to vote for you, they'll do it. And so I can tell you, I've been your manager a long time. I'm not going to talk to you about anything about the manager court. If you want to vote for me, you know whether or not you do. And I'd certainly appreciate it. But I do want to tell you that I've seen the Republicans grow. Mike Tietz and I, again, were elected in '92, and I think we were the 3rd and 4th Republicans since anybody could ever remember, other than Gus Munsing and Mike's dad, 4 Republicans. And it stayed that way until '16 when Jay Bird rolled in, right?
I was number 5.
You were number 5. And then in 20, we had Steve and Brian Ward as House delegate, Steve as commissioner, and Steve Dawson as sheriff. We elected 3 in 2020. And so this county has flipped. The state has flipped. And the only thing I can say is it's been worth the battle for 32 years. So thank you.
after will say of us in our time, that in our time, we did everything that could be done. We finished the race, we kept them free, we kept the faith. Keep that in mind, especially when you go to vote. Thank you.